The hosts feel it would be a little unkind to present this podcast without just a word of friendly warning. We are about to unfold the story of Frankenstein, a man of science who sought to create a man after his own image without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with the two great mysteries of creation, life and death. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to. Well, we've warned you. Hello, and welcome once again to the Frankencast. I'm the mad scientist, Anthony Bowman. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm joined as always by...
the movie that doesn't star Adam Sandler and Kevin James, that is Eric Velasquez. My pronouns are also he, him.
Yeah, so we're back with the final, or currently final, installment of the Hotel Transylvania series.
Let's not be too hopeful. Adam Sandler and Kevin James both bowed out. This series is dead. It went to Amazon Prime. Yeah. Yeah, this feels like the nail in the coffin. You know what it feels like? If this feels like this is what the animated quote unquote TV serialized version of Hotel Transylvania was going to become if they had ever done it.
Apparently there is a TV series that ran for a season or two, but it's like impossible to find. Like it was never released on DVD or anything.
Exactly.
I tried to track some of it down. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I tried to track some of it down for us because I thought it might be something interesting to watch, but yeah, I can't find any of it.
Hold up. I am now going to look and see if the guy who plays Dracula in this plays Dracula in that version, because I need that to be true.
Because I think it focuses on like Mavis by herself more. Like I'm sure Dracula's in it, but probably not nearly to the degree that he is in the movies.
Yeah.
I think the guy in this that does Dracula, wasn't he like he just did YouTube voice impressions and like they hired him based on that?
Right. I mean, obviously it's still like the person is still trying to sound like Adam, and I think Adam is still the producer of the movie. Mm-hmm. But he's like, I couldn't be fucked. And like, did you know that his daughter, I think Sadie Sandler, was Winnie?
Yeah, I saw that.
Like, well, she's not in this one.
Yeah.
But all the Sandlers have bowed out in this one.
And so the guy that does it in this, like a couple weeks ago when I was like, posting stuff on Twitter about the episodes coming out or whatever, mm-hmm. I was just out of curiosity seeing if anybody had ever done a parody of Hotel Transylvania, like putting Hotel Transylvania lyrics into Hotel California.
Right.
And this guy, the guy who plays Dracula in this version, recorded a whole version where he sings as Dracula.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, we have David Burney is the voice of Dracula in the TV series. So I'm guessing that's probably not the case in this. Let's verify. Transylvania 4, Transformania, mm-hmm. which, interesting. Okay, that was Brian Hull. So yeah, totally different people.
Gotcha,
so,
okay.
Apparently the guy who did the TV version wasn't even good enough to play Dracula. That's amazing. But yeah, you're right. Brian Hull's an impressionist. So, I mean, okay. So he's clearly a good impressionist, but he's not. He's like the Adam Sandler we have at home.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like an SNL type impression where he like mm-hmm. picks the couple specific things like the quirks and just like dials those up and lets that kind of like do all the heavy lifting for the impression.
Right. We get a blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
Which, he's just casually dropping those in there now. So, all right, let's get this party started. So, first off, Columbia doesn't turn into a bat, which we're always sad about, but Blobby replaces her?
Yeah, it's like the lights flicker out, and then when they suddenly kick back on, Blobby's standing there with the sash and holding the torch and everything.
Right, and then I think we get Mr. Tinkles coming in with Adam Sandler's like production company.
Yeah.
And then we get the Rain and Ukulele version of Just the Two of Us.
Right. Yeah, it's like it's Dracula singing Just the Two of Us, and there's like a montage of like young Mavis and like the early days of the hotel. So it's kind of getting some like prequel stuff we've never seen before.
Well, but here's the thing. I don't want this to be a spoiler, but I feel like it's also not really a spoiler in that this is just a weird rehash of the first movie, just in a different degree.
Yeah.
Right? Because the central idea of this movie is that Dracula doesn't like Johnny. Okay, that would have been great had we had that established, aside from Dracula and Johnny being buds throughout the previous one. Like, in the first one, when we had Dennis trying to see if he's going to turn into a vampire, or the second one, I mean. The second movie, where we were going to try and have Dennis do his vampire thing some way, somehow. Like, Johnny's complicit, and he's like, I'm there, bud. You and me, we got this. Third movie, they're slightly antagonistic, but not really. And it's like, in the first movie, they were just outright buds because they did the table racing at the end, and they're like, we're friends now!
Yeah.
Why? Why did we take a literal step back?
Yeah, it definitely does feel like fan fiction or something. It's like non-canonical or something.
Or like a made-for-TV movie?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because like right away, we've got this sort of montage thing, and then suddenly Jonathan interrupts the singing of Just the Two of Us, and it turns into him singing Just the Three of Us.
Which, that's kind of weird. Like, do you think Dennis would have felt bad about that?
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, if it was Johnny singing to Mavis and Dennis, it would make sense, but it's Johnny singing to Mavis and Dracula.
Like, man, they just well, it makes sense. They just kind of forgot the kids were there.
Yeah, the kids are not... I mean, they weren't really even well used in Part 3, but even less so here in Part 4.
Right. But it is good to see that Winnie and Dennis's relationship still going strong. They're always there together.
Yeah, and so the reason that Jonathan's singing all this is the 125th anniversary of the Hotel Transylvania. Yeah, and it's like you said, Dracula and Johnny have like come to terms. They've like reached an agreement and become friends. But now here, Johnny is like trying to throw his version of the party, even though Dracula has his own ideas of the party, and he's annoyed.
That was the whole point of the first one, is Drac letting go.
Yeah. And there's even that whole thing with the party, and it's Mavis's birthday party in the first one. Dracula, he wants to play bingo. He wants to do the boring, dull Dracula things, while Johnny is like, let's do razor scooter tricks and everything.
Right.
And that's pretty much the same thing. Like, Dracula wants a chill party, but Johnny's like, all right, let's turn on the black lights. We've got a skeleton mariachi band. We've got...
Oh, everything's in the 90s, like glow-in-the-dark paint.
Yeah. We got fire dancers, which...
Frank's juggling chainsaws.
Yeah. Frank's juggling chainsaws. We got zombie fire dancers who immediately set themselves on fire, which scares Frank. And so now there's...
and we have a janky ice sculpture of Dracula.
Right. So Frank throws chainsaws everywhere in terror. One, like, safely splashes into Blobby and just causes Blobby to, like, vibrate in a really funny way.
Yeah.
But then, another one beheads the Dracula ice sculpture.
And I do like how the Wolf Kids spell out very Phineas.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they probably did that on purpose. But this all culminates in Dracula going, time freeze, the world, though. And then he has to come in and, like, literally fixes everything because Johnny can do nothing right.
He freezes everything, and he's just, like, going around, like, moving people into safe positions and everything. Yeah. But because Mavis is a vampire, she's not frozen, so she's like, what are you doing? What's going on here?
Like, is this a continuity error? Because I feel like when he froze time, like, before, it worked for everybody.
It seems like it, yeah.
Okay. I could be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong.
He says something about, like, Johnny's a mess. Wouldn't you like him better if he like, puts Johnny in like a tux and like fixes his hair and stuff, and she's like, no, I like Johnny the way he is, and she turns him back to his normal self.
We like the support.
Yeah, these spouses who genuinely love each other for who they are, and she's standing up to her dad even when he's like
terrible.
And she's like, Johnny worked really hard to try to make this day special for you. Like, I don't know why you're having such a hard time with this.
He's like, okay, well, tonight I'm going to make a once-in-a-lifetime announcement. Of course, going back to the first movie, he brings out the fucking zombie Mozart and everything.
Yeah.
It's like, this is literally, like, at this point, I'm literally watching just the alternate universe version of the first movie, where somehow Mavis and Johnny got married before they resolved the monster issue.
Yeah, it does it feels like a clip show, sort of. Mm-hmm. Then Dracula goes and talks to Erica, who has stuck around, and again, this further complicates things because Dracula is in a relationship with a human, but still has these weird issues with Johnny.
Right. I guess it's more, it's Johnny's the problem.
Johnny specifically and not humankind.
Right now.
But as they're talking, like, she's like, but what about the announcement that you're retiring and giving the hotel away?
Right, and because Mavis is a vampire, she overhears that. She's like, what?
Yeah, one of her ears turns into like a big bat ear. She listens and hears all this and is like, super excited. Like, Dad's going to retire. That's good for him. And we're going to get to make the hotel what we want. And, that's exciting. We're going to kind of build our own life now. Yeah,
and then, of course, Dracula then parlays that into, some lovey time with Erica. And Mavis is like, ugh.
Yeah. So then she immediately goes and tells Johnny, which was not smart on her part because
she knew.
Yeah, like, think back to when they did the baby announcement. Like, Johnny is not a good secret keeper. He is just like full of nervous energy.
Yeah, you tell Johnny, he tells everybody immediately.
Yeah, and like he's like, oh, that's great, I'm really happy for you. And she's like, no, it's for us. Like, he's giving it to the both of us. He's like, well, I never really thought Dracula saw me as part of the family. And it's like, again, yes, he did. We've got 3 movies of that.
Confirming it.
Yeah. She's like, no, of course you are. But we got to keep this on the down low so that he can do his big announcement. We don't want to spoil the surprise, so just be quiet.
Right, and he immediately starts running around the celebration, gibbering to himself happily.
Yeah, he's like literally like buzzing with excitement, like vibrating around the building. Mm-hmm. So then like Dracula is like in a back room starting to plan his speech, and Johnny just bursts in and is like, okay, I know the whole thing. I heard it. I already know. And Dracula's like, wait, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah, you're going to retire and give me and Mavis the hotel. And Dracula's like, no, buddy, see, here's the problem. I'm going to give Mavis the hotel. I can't give it to you because there is Czech's Book of Lies. Oh, yeah, a tax law against it.
Yeah, an ancient monster tax law that says monsters can't give property to humans.
I mean, maybe, sure. Johnny's just too innocent for his own good.
Yeah.
That's why we stand Johnny.
Yeah, and he ends up coming out to give his announcement and decides to kind of just even backpedal on giving it to Mavis. He's like, I can't, what am I going to, everybody knows I'm supposed to give this big announcement. And so he's like, the hotel is expanding. I'm going to add another bathroom to the lobby.
Right, and everyone's like, nobody's excited about that.
Yeah.
Well, it's clear, obviously, that that's not the announcement. He's just switched gears now that he realizes he has to give up control, even though that's what he did in the first movie.
Yeah. And Mavis is like, what's happening? And then you see Johnny sitting in the corner, and he's like, this is all my fault. I've ruined everything. And it's like, oh, wow, Johnny's like self-aware in a way that he isn't usually. But no, we'll see that that's not exactly the case.
Exactly the case. By the way, during the anniversary, because, I have to notice weird fucking things, apparently they're culturally, like, the makers of this movie were culturally, like, it's a weird way to say culturally inclusive, but the point is there's a fucking kitsune, or not kitsune, a nine-tailed fox in this scene.
Nice.
I will provide Anthony with video evidence of the nine-tailed fox for you Naruto fans and just like Japanese mythology and all that.
So last time we got a chupacabra, and now we're getting a Japanese creature as well.
Yokai.
then like the party just kind of kicks off. Like I think that's where you just see all the monsters, all familiar faces and some just kind of odd background characters and stuff. Blobby is DJing this party rather than Jonathan. Everybody's dancing to like a remix of the Cha-Cha Slide.
Right.
While Dracula kind of frantically dodges around the party because he knows Erica's going to be like, "What the fuck, dude? You're supposed to retire."
Well, yeah, he's literally dodging both Erica and Mavis, who are both like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Then we go back to Johnny, and he's like, "This is all my fault. I'm not a monster." So it's like he doesn't realize that he has fucked up by ruining the secret. Oh, yeah, it's more it's more that he thinks that he believes the tax law bullshit and thinks that's the problem here.
Well, he knows that there's somebody who can help him. Our crazy mad scientist / monster hunter, Van Helsing.
Yeah. Yeah, and Van Helsing's like, "Yeah, I've got just the thing, actually. Follow me." And they go to Van Helsing's, like, weird basement lab in the hotel.
Do you think they expanded it just for him?
This is a large space to
right.
Yeah, like, to have not been utilized for something else previously. Because it's like it looks like the room of requirement in Harry Potter or something. Right. It's just like endless shelves, weird shaped holes between books and stuff where he can
bizarre mazes.
Yeah, and it's like Van Helsing's little contraption that he's built into like bends and flexes in weird ways. So he goes through all these like strange holes in walls that are just perfectly shaped for that particular configuration. He ends up getting to the monstrification ray. That's just what Johnny needs.
Right. Here, let me demonstrate on our guinea pig, Gigi. Zap! And Gigi turns into a monster-fied version of a hamster or a guinea pig.
Yeah, it's like a purple version of the hamster from Monster Blood, like the giant hamster on the cover of that Goosebumps book.
Ah, Goosebumps. I miss you.
And so he's like, "Yep, look, the guinea pig. They're using a guinea pig as a guinea pig, and it worked. So now we can zap Jonathan, and then he can inherit the hotel, and everything will be fine. Mavis will be happy.
He's a monster now.
Yeah. So
that's not who she married.
Right. Yeah. So like he gets zapped, and he turns into like this goofy ass dragon kind of thing.
Well, initially it doesn't even seem like it worked, and it takes like a minute or two to catch up. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put like a Godzilla lizard, but yeah, I think it's meant to be a dragon.
Yeah, it almost kind of reminds me of like Figment from Disney, like or like Pete's Dragon, but like a goofier version.
Yeah, which is something to say.
Yeah. Johnny's all ready to go tell Mavis. He's all excited, but Dracula like overhears this whole situation and like bumps into Johnny. Sees all this and is like, "Oh no, Mavis is gonna kill me."
Right, rightfully so.
Yeah, this is all my fault. So he starts kind of trying to chase down Johnny, and he's got the monstrification ray now set back to humanification.
Mm-hmm. And he hits, hold on, existential fucking crisis time, okay? He hits one of the zombie butlers, who turns into a human, and he's like, "Finally, I'm a human again. That sucked." What?
Yeah, they've just been trapped in this miserable existence for hundreds of years.
Right. And like, that's your own personal hell.
Yeah.
To make it worse, immediately one of his zombie butler friends just walks up and bites him.
And like, it's, in a zombie movie, it's like, you have the person who gets bit and they try to hide it for, a couple days until they finally like turn to zombie. But in this case, it's like instant. He's bitten and he immediately just turns back into a zombie.
Right. It's like, oh.
Yeah. And so, stuck back in that personal hell all over again.
Which, first off, bad play to your own friend. Like, was that guy like, "I'm going on vacation next week, fuck you"?
Yeah. Yeah, you got to watch the shop while I'm gone.
Right, something like that. And then also, the fact that, like, they're literally Dracula's slaves, and nobody's mentioning this. Nobody's like, "Hey, maybe we let the zombies do their own thing."
Yeah.
We got a little intense on that one. Sorry.
No, I mean, it definitely, it's a dark joke for a kid's movie.
Right.
And then Dracula hits the ice sculpture, which then instantly melts into this big like trough of like green punch.
Right, just so you know, it's not safe for monsters to drink.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Dennis and Winnie and Mr. Tinkles runs up. By the way, do they give the weird demon dog a name?
I don't think so. I don't remember them saying it.
There's just weird random dogs now for no reason.
Like all over the place.
Yeah, okay.
Then Dracula ends up following...
Well, he hypnotizes the kids. It's like, you saw nothing. You didn't run into your dragon-fied version of your father.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty much like, because we'll get that, like a recall gag with that a little later. That's pretty much all we see of the kids.
Right.
But then, yeah, Dracula, I think he follows him into an elevator, and there's a mirror in the back where he fires the ray again, hits a mirror, which reflects it back at him, and then, Dracula turns human.
I really appreciate that they just turn him into Adam Sandler, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't far off anyway as Dracula form, but he was the more refined version. Mm-hmm. Now he's a little schlubby.
Yeah, a little schlubby, and he's got like his hair's kind of messed up. It's not like the perfect Dracula, and it's kind of like you can tell like he's going bald a little bit. It's like thinning. Yeah. But he ends up like falling out a window in the like chaos of like realizing he's turned human. So Johnny has to like jump out the window after him. Dracula ends up like landing in the pool, so he's fine. But then Johnny, a giant dragon, also lands in the pool, which causes
cannonball.
Yeah, all the water in the entire pool to splash out. And Dracula, who like flies up and gets stuck, like hanging on the side of the roof or something.
Yeah, exactly. He's on the edge of a roof, kind of on the gutter. And then, of course, that's when all the monster guys come out. Frank, Wayne, Murray, Griffith. And they're all like, hey, Drac, what are you doing up there? Come on down, you silly guy. And I think he literally says, I can't. Well, he kind of whispers. Well, I mean, he's probably yelling it, but obviously he's off in the distance. I can't fly. And the big joke is like, what about a fly? What did he say?
It ends up like, I think Murray ends up rescuing him.
Yeah, because Johnny's like, he can't fly.
And so he's like, okay, now we gotta fix things. We gotta use the ray, get all this back to normal. But the ray is broken.
Okay, so the zombie butler hands Dracula the ray, but doesn't bite him. He's a human.
Yeah, that would have been a really great. Like he turns into a human and then turns into a zombie.
Anthony, we're making a better movie. Damn it.
Also, why do the zombies never bother Johnny all these years?
Right, dude, that makes it even worse, though. That's like being oppressed by your own class.
Yeah.
Jeez. These zombies are the worst.
Dracula's like, all right, we got to go talk to Van Helsing. We got to get this ray fixed. So he has all the monster crew distract Mavis while they go figure out what's going on.
Wayne and his cool new dance moves.
Yeah.
Which are not.
Yeah, it's just some good old like dad humor. Like he's so Van Helsing looks at the ray and he's like, no, you got this crystal is cracked. It's ruined. Like this is not going to work again.
Yeah, it took me 3 years to find the last one.
Yeah, and they're like, well, we don't have 3 years. And he's like, well, I did leave a trail, so I know exactly where I got the old one, so you can go right back there and get one.
No, he literally built a crystal locator into the crystal in case he broke the crystal.
So goofy.
Yeah, right? Lucky for you, I'm going to shave 3 years off because I just wanted to say it took 3 years to find it. Like, that's impressive or something.
Yeah. But it is still going to be difficult because you have to travel to the jungles of South America. You've got to go down this long, treacherous river that they never call the Amazon for some reason, which is weird since it aired on Amazon.
Do you think that was a Bezos call right there?
Maybe so. I don't know.
Weird. You would think he would want this free promotion.
Yeah, but it's like, you got to go through like the Cave of Reflexión. Yeah.
Because it's in Spanish.
Yeah, so it's this whole big, you're going to have to go on this long, treacherous journey in order to learn some things about yourself along the way and then get your crystal back.
Right, pretty much, and come to terms and become friends again.
Yeah. And Johnny's like, all right, I'll go tell Mavis so we can go get it. And Dracula's like, no, what about we should go? It could be a good bonding father-son experience.
Mainly because he doesn't want Mavis to get mad at him for being turned into a human and Johnny being turned into a dragon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they go to leave, and Dracula sends his friends a text that's like, "Keep covering with Mavis. We're gonna be gone for a little bit."
Right, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll do that. Except we'll also, what is it that Griffin tells him? be like, no, you go take care of Mavis this time. And Frank's like, all right, I sent it off. And everyone's like, holy shit, you sent it off? No, don't do that.
Yeah, which I thought was a nice touch that, like, these guys are kind of, like, dominated by Dracula all the time, and that when he's not around, they probably talk shit about him.
Right. It seems like they were supposed to be friends, but I don't talk that kind of shit about my friends.
Yeah, I guess, if you have that friend who's, like, bossing you around all the time, maybe, but, then why are you friends with him?
Right, exactly. But, of course, then we immediately see the fountain of green stuff that the ice sculpture turned into, so we know what's up.
Yeah, so they decide to drink a toast, and, of the tainted punch, and they all instantly turn human.
Yeah, we get Murray just being an old dude. Makes sense. He's, 3,000 years old?
Yeah, he's just a little old Egyptian guy, like, dressed in, like, kind of traditional Egyptian clothes.
Wayne, I'm offended by Wayne so many times. Like, is he supposed to be, like, an old IT guy? Because I got that vibe. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Listen, Tartovsky, I didn't do anything to you. Stop calling me out like this, okay?
Right. We knew he was just a dad, and that's pretty much the vibe he's getting.
And then he's got a beard, of course, because, even though all of his other hair fell out.
And then Griffin, as we already knew, is a redhead and is naked. So yeah, now he's just this weird looking guy naked with just like this huge just afro of like curly red hair. Mm-hmm. And then Frank is now a super hot guy. Right. He's like an emo hunk. Which those kind of clash to me, but he's got the swoop, but he's also big and buff. Yeah. Yeah, and he's tossing his hair all the time. Hello. He's the only person in this movie who's enjoying the switcheroo. Well, we'll find out that he's enjoying it too much, according to his loving wife, Eunice. Yeah. Oh, and then Bobby, he gets the worst end of the deal. He just turns into a plate of Jell-O. Right. Oh, we're just gonna sap your sentience there, buddy. I was hoping he just turned into a dude, but apparently his humanification is just Jell-O mold. Right. And so then we go back to Dracula and Johnny, who are again flying goblin air. Which, okay, thank you for continuing this. Was it goblin or gremlin air? Oh, maybe it was gremlin. I feel like they were gremlins, but maybe it is goblin. Who knows? Why are we looking into the continuity? I mean, I know we're bitching about it, but, the point is goblin and gremlin are pretty much interchangeable, right? Mm-hmm. But it's funny because now, Dracula is a mortal human who cannot fly, so he's terrified. Yeah. Because, they're still, the same way they were last time. They're not good flight attendants, not good pilots. They're flying around all crazy. I think a chunk of the wing falls off at one point. Because it was just duct taped. Yeah. And so Dracula is fearing for his life. Man, I really want to sit down and ask Adam Sandler, what happened to the old gremlin lady? Is she fine? Yeah. Because I'm worried that she's not. Yeah, it's just... it seems like they kind of replaced her with Blobby. They just thought that was a better sort of, running gag. They were wrong. Yeah, she was definitely a fun part of the first two movies. Mm-hmm. Blobby... I think fine. Yeah, Blobby's fine, but I think Blobby was to get kids. I think kids are going to appreciate this, silly wiggly thing more than an old lady. Right. Also, what happened to Blobby's kid? Did he reabsorb him? And the Blobby dog. Wait a second. What happened to this family? Yeah, I don't know, and I'm not sure. It seems like that would have been a good thing to, if Blobby's son were to come upon Jello-ified Blobby and be like, "What happened to my dad?" That could have been a fun. That would have been something. Yeah, but nope, we never see Blobby's son again. Right, and to actually move the story forward, since Dracula is hyperventilating and about to throw up, he runs down the aisle. Gremlin stewardess stops him. Is like, I know just the thing for you, buddy. We're gonna spin you around really quick, try to feed you this really gross food, and you know what? We'll just throw you out the plane with a rope and basically keel haul you in the air. Yeah, because he needs some fresh air, so he's just hanging out the back of the plane. I guess that works, kind of. we go back to the hotel where Mavis is like, where is my dad? Like, I have not seen him in a while, and ends up going to his room where she finds this giant key that he had made to, like, ceremonially give the key of the hotel to Mavis and Johnny.
Well, not only that, she finds his real speech.
Where he was going to give them the hotel. So what changed? Why did he, at the very last second, back out and give this, bullshit announcement about a hotel or about a bathroom?
Well, we don't have too much time to think about that because immediately a group of monsters rush past the room, and Mavis is like, "What the heck's this about?" And then we have Dennis and Winnie running up with Mr. Tinkles, and she's like, "What's going on?" Everything is fine. That was not our father. And she's like, "Oh, okay. I know what happened here." Yeah. That's a Dracula move.
Yeah. Then we go back to Dracula and Johnny in South America, and we get the first moment where Dracula's like, "Oh, there's good things about being a human," because he steps outside and realizes that he's not vulnerable to the sun anymore.
Yeah, well, he has a little bit of a existential freak out about that. He's like, sunlight, no!
Yeah, then he's like, "Oh, wait, I'm okay," and he just
stares at the sun.
Yeah. Yeah, because he doesn't know sun etiquette anymore. Right. And so now he's blind and starts stumbling around and almost gets hit by a bus.
Right, but he's saved at the last minute by Johnny. But Johnny does something weird. He spouts fire, he breathes fire, which doesn't seem like a very Johnny thing to do.
Yeah, and it's he is also surprised that he did it. He's kind of like, what just happened? So it seems like the monstrification continues beyond the initial ray.
Right. Well, we actually get confirmation of that basically because we cut to Gigi, who then just bursts out of their cage and grows an extra couple sizes.
Yeah. And Van Helsing realizes and he's like, "Oh, shit." Yeah, this is going to be bad. So now we've got our stakes for this movie. They not only do Johnny and Dracula need to get cured just for general purposes, but now they're on a time crunch to do it. Things are going to get bad if they don't.
Well, we don't have too much time to think about that because now it's time for Wham and the Spanish version of Wake Me Up Before You Go Go. Fucking loved it.
That was so good.
It was a good bop.
Yeah, it's Dracula and Johnny on a tour bus or something, and the Spanish version's playing. Johnny's loving it. He's singing along. Dracula does not look as he's enjoying it nearly as much.
Right, and Dracula looks outside and sees that a bike has passed the van. He's like, "Johnny, you're weighing us down."
Yeah, so he kind of Fred Flintstones things and bursts his feet through the floor and just starts carrying the bus where they're going.
Right. Which, I mean, that's nice and thoughtful.
Yeah. Back at the hotel, Mavis has found Erica, and they're working together to try to find Dracula.
The boys are also walking around trying to hide themselves from all of the other monsters.
Yeah. And we see all of the their female counterparts, all of their monster wives being where are all the husbands? All the guys are gone. What's going on? Quickly, they all into kind of bumping into each other.
Yeah, the guys fall, somebody sneezes and the guys fall through the luggage rack.
And, so obviously all of the monster wives are freaked out seeing these human versions of their husbands.
Okay, and a really good gag is all of the wolf children start swarming Wayne. And they're like, "Where's Dad? Where's Dad? Where's Dad?" Because they don't know this is a human. He's like, "Oh, my name is Walter." and then they just carry Wanda off, and she's like, "This is not funny, Wayne."
Yeah. And it seems like the most freaked out is Frank's wife. She's
Eunice.
Eunice. She's not happy about him being a handsome dude now.
Right. And now he's like, "Yay, how are you doing?"
And he's taking selfies of himself and everything. Right. He is feeling himself.
He's
now.
Definitely conceited at this new form, and she doesn't like that.
Yeah. While all this is going on, Mavis is looking at her phone and finds a viral video because when this movie needs to Deus Ex Machina the plot, a viral video from across the world is the way to do it.
Well, this was actually a news broadcast as well, but yeah.
It's because it's a news broadcast of this video that's going around. Exactly. Yeah, that somebody filmed a dragon saving a guy from getting hit by a bus in South America.
Right.
And she sees the video and is like, "Wait, that guy looks kind of like my dad, and that dragon kind of looks like Johnny.
Oh, hell no. She tries calling him, and of course Dracula's like, well, I'm going to have to find a way to get rid of this phone. There's a nice puddle over there.
Yep, so obviously they're not interested in talking to Mavis at this point. Mm-hmm. So Mavis is like, what's going on? And Murray immediately is like, all right, let me tell you the whole story. Just like instantly just like spills the beans.
Then he's like, I wasn't supposed to say that.
Right. And then we go to a montage of Johnny and Dracula on their long journey to try to find the mysterious cave containing the crystal.
Which I appreciate that Johnny's teaching Dracula how to hike.
And Dracula hates it.
Right. He is not an outside guy, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't like he's like, oh, what's that weird smell I'm smelling? And it's like, oh, that's you. That's B.O. It happens. You need a shower now.
Yeah. And it's like he gets swarmed by mosquitoes. Mm-hmm. And Johnny's like, those are just the vampires of the jungle.
Right. Which Dracula, of course, takes offense to.
Yeah. And I think he gets rained on, he gets dehydrated, he gets attacked by piranhas.
That's because his dumbass decides to jump in a random pool of water.
Mm-hmm. In the middle of the jungle, yeah.
Right. And then, of course, he also gets allergic reaction to flowers.
Yeah. So just like getting a good gamut of like all the bad things that can happen to a vulnerable human that he's not had to worry about for a long time.
See, everyone, this is why you don't go outside. That stuff exists out there.
Right. Outside is always trying to kill you.
Right.
Then back at the hotel, Erica's like, I know what's going on. We need to go talk to my dad. He's got to be...
No, the gag is, she's like, well, it's not like we have a mad scientist just living in the basement. Oh, wait. That's exactly what we do.
Yeah. So they go down there and they see him fighting Gigi, who is now even bigger than before. Mm. They all have to kind of team up, and they use like conduit pipe and build a giant hamster tube to capture the monster hamster. Right,
and that's when Van Helsing reveals, oh, it turns out that ray's unstable. Whoever gets hit with the monstrification part starts mutating randomly. So let me ask you this. Why wouldn't the humans, like, just turn more frail or...
Yeah, it seems like that would make sense. Like, especially, like, Murray or Dracula, who've been, like, around forever. Like, you'd think they would, like, start to decay.
Or something, yeah. Or even, even age a little bit. But no, it's just the monster part that's bad.
Yeah.
To be fair, it's Van Helsing, so he probably meant for it to be bad.
True, yeah.
Okay.
So, now they're like, okay, they know the stakes too, so they've got to get to Dracula and Johnny to, save the day. Of course, Dracula and Johnny don't know this whole thing, other than that Johnny does continue to get more unstable, but they don't know why.
And of course, we then get a scene of everyone on Erica's airship.
Yeah, she's got this like badass monster hunting blimp that's just full of weapons, and it's like the whole crew, including like Wanda and all the kids, and like there's just everything there is deadly. Like everybody keeps touching things and like almost getting killed by them, and Erica's like, yeah, sorry, I was a monster hunter for a long time.
That's kind of this whole ship's main purpose.
Yeah.
Right, and of course Mavis is like, all right, so looking for the guys above a rainforest isn't really helpful. So maybe we need to get on the ground and look for him. And Erica's like, I got something for you. I got you.
They unleash her car tank thing.
I swear to God, it's like the scene out of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Right?
It's so ridiculous. Like it's like a Rolls Royce kind of, like it's a really nice car, but then its back wheels are like giant ass tank treads.
Right.
But even though it has tank treads, it can go like really fast. So they're like speeding through the jungle.
Mavis uses her echolocation to find Johnny and Dracula.
Yeah, so she's like kind of like triangulating with like echolocation, and the whole time like Frank is just like taking selfies, with this cool jungle background. These will be perfect for the gram.
Eunice is definitely not impressed.
Yeah. And then Dracula and Johnny, they've gotten lost on their search, and they're on the very top of like a teeny tiny pointy mountain, or like very tall, but like, they're like just on a little tiny ledge.
Yeah, there's like some fog that came in and confused them a little bit, especially Johnny.
Yeah. So they're on a very treacherous, precarious location, and then they fall.
This is not bad for Johnny now that he's a monster, but it's real bad for Dracula.
Yeah. And Dracula's like, you have wings, though, Johnny. Like, you can take care of this. You can solve everything. And Johnny's like, but I don't know how to use them. They're just kind of there. And so Dracula has to teach Johnny how to fly, which is kind of like
adorable.
Yeah, this is kind of a nice moment with him. It's sort of an echo of like what he did with Dennis, but he actually is doing a good job this time.
Right. He's like, twitch your nose, twitch your toes, then twitch your wings. And Johnny's like, I can't, I'm not flying. And he's like, no, that's exactly what you're doing, baby. Got him.
Yep, so he starts flying and is able to swoop down and save Dracula at the very last second.
Yeah.
That nice moment leads into another nice moment where Johnny's like, you need to see the good in things. And they're having like a campfire and they're roasting marshmallows, and
Dracula burns his.
Yeah, and Johnny's like, but see, here's the thing. Underneath this burnt marshmallow, or this burnt shell, there's this delicious gooey marshmallow. Oh. And if you focus on the bad exterior and not all the good stuff that's happening below the surface, it's not a good life. Like you gotta find those good things to be happy about.
Right. And then, okay, I hate to harp on this, but I'm probably going to keep harping on it. Dracula's like, oh yeah, ever since my wife passed on and I just had Mavis, I've just looked in the bad. No, you had a grandson. Do we not care about Dennis? You actually reconciled with your father who hated humans. He's gone.
Right. Yeah, they weren't getting Mel Brooks back for this.
No, not for this one. This was too Mel Brooks. Like, if you're not getting Adam Sandler, you're not getting Mel Brooks.
Right. Dracula, he does, like you said, it kind of backpedals a lot of the growth he's had, but he does kind of get vulnerable here, and he's like, this hotel's basically been my whole life, and it's hard to part with it, which is, that's not exactly why he backed out to begin with. It was more that he
didn't want Johnny to have it.
Yeah, he didn't trust that Johnny would take care of it in the way that he wanted. It wasn't just inability to let go of it. It was specifically Johnny related. Then the rest of the monsters, they all finally arrive, and they tell Johnny the whole story. And Johnny's like, wait, so the whole thing about the tax code, that was a lie just because you didn't want me to have it? So he's upset, and because he's now unstable, he just like hulks out into like a much bigger, scarier dragon.
Right, and I do appreciate that everyone's officially angry at Dracula at this point because of that.
Mm-hmm. This is all Dracula's fault, every bit of it. And Mavis is like, Dad, like, because you keep doing these things, because you keep fucking up and not trusting the people around you and your family, I might lose Johnny now, and right. that's going to be on you. And
like, even to put up another point in it, Mavis calls the hotel. She's like, this is your stupid hotel. Like, she doesn't even want it now because it might cost her husband.
Yeah. So she tells the rest of the crew to keep searching for the crystal, and she's going to go try to find Johnny. All the crew get it back in the car, which ends up driving off a cliff, but it's like a waterfall kind of situation, and thankfully the car can also turn into a boat.
Right. Of course. I mean, you never know how many times becoming a boat's just useful for cars.
Right. They end up there in like an underground lake or something. It's like a lost sea kind of, like, I don't know if you've ever been to one of those like caves where you can like take little boat rides. So they're continuing their search through the cave while...
Well, and Johnny's stomping around the actual rainforest like, stupid Dracula. And so obviously he's having a harder time like stringing coherent words together.
Yeah, like his monstrousness is definitely like taking over. Mm-hmm. And that's around when Mavis finds him.
Oh, can we talk about while they're in the cave, like a whole stalactite falls through the, I think that's right. Is stalagmite the one that comes up, and stalactite is the one that falls down?
Yeah, tight is in the ceiling. Yeah, because they hold tight to the
There
roof.
You go. Pneumatic devices. Anyway, so the stalactite falls down, puts a hole in the boat car, and they start sinking. And they're like, oh no, we're going to die. And then as everything starts sinking, they just hit land.
Yeah. So, yep, they lucked out. They all just like walk through the shallows and everything's fine.
As they're going through, there is a great bit where Frank is like, he protects Eunice, and he's like, oh, that's my husband. Then he literally steals her hair to protect himself.
Yeah, like uses it as a helmet. Mm-hmm. And then Dracula ends up finding this room where like everything is crystals. There's crystals everywhere, so it seems like they're getting close to what they need.
Yeah.
Mavis has gotten to Johnny, and she's like turned into a bat, and she's trying to like lead him back to the cave. So she's flapping, and I think she's like carrying her cell phone in like her little bat claws and trying to like talk to them to try to find where they are so that they can meet back up.
Right. And then we get a cool Hall of Mirrors scene where everyone's like, they're like, let's not get separated. Immediately get separated.
Yeah.
The Cave of Reflexión.
Yeah. So, of course, that's what that was referring to the whole time. But it's kind of nice because, I mean, like, as we've been doing this show, an ongoing thing is mirrors. We have monsters being forced to see their monstrous selves in a mirror. And or here we have all these... Monster. Yeah, or Herman Munster breaking the glass or whatever, or like even like Human Centipede. You've had like the scientist always has to show the creation what they look like. But
and if
here,
it's Peter Laser, he also has to lick the mirror.
Right. But this time we've got these people who have been monsters and have been comfortable with their monstrous selves now being forced to see their human selves and reckon with what that is. So yeah, it's kind of a nice reversal. So this movie does have some interesting ideas. It's just, like you said, it's like the whole frame is just missing the mark by like...
It's off a bit.
Yeah, like using the sitcom reference really makes sense because, when you watch those kind of generic sitcoms that have, for the most part, died out in today's age, but there's still a few. No one learns, no one grows. Every episode is kind of a reset back to the status quo. Whoa. And that's kind of what this feels like. It's like everything Dracula has experienced and learned in the past 3 movies, we're just back to like generic monsters don't like humans very much, and there's that tension and stuff.
Right. Not even like a new humans have destroyed my family, blah.
Yeah.
Well, then we have, apparently, when Mavis is trying to talk to Johnny, she tries to talk some sense into him. However, she makes a mistake by mentioning Dracula, and this sets Johnny off.
Mm-hmm. Which causes him to punch a mountain, and that just so happens to be the outside of the cave where everybody is. So he's broken into where they are, and now the teams are back together, basically.
Right.
They end up finding the crystal in the process, right? Yeah.
Yes, they find the crystal at this point, and then Dracula's like, hey, I'm going to be good and like tell Johnny that everything's okay and that I love him again because we're trying to go back to status quo, and that's what I do. And he uses Blobby. He steps on Blobby a couple times and uses Blobby to skate around the crystal cave.
Yeah. And there's a great bit where like Mavis has the crystal and she's trying to get to Johnny to hit him, but because he's punched all these holes in the wall, there's a bunch of sunlight coming in.
Okay, this is really cool. Like with the fact that the sunlight's like you see the burnt parts of Mavis when the sunlight hits her, and then everyone's like, "Hey, let's protect Mavis."
Yeah, because it's just like little beams of light shooting through here and there, and she's kind of trying to dodge through them all. But then, yeah, like all of the monsters sort of team up, and it's kind of similar to in the first movie where like the Dracula capes blocked out the sun. But yeah, here it's this nice teamwork thing. It's it's everybody kind of bonding and working together.
Holy shit! I didn't even remember that. Like I didn't put 2 and 2 together. It's like that's exactly what it is. But it's like the monsters and humans are working together to protect Mavis to save her father now.
Yeah. But yeah, so she hits Johnny with the ray, and then nothing happens, and it's like, oh, is it going to just be slow like it was the first time? But no, he's gone too far. Like he's too unleashed as a monster, and it looks like he might not come back. And then that's when Dracula gets to him. Like you said, he's been trying to get to him, skating on blobby juice.
Yeah. And I didn't see you for your Johnny-ness.
He brings it back to Johnny's marshmallow metaphor. And he's like, that sometimes, I might not understand the outside of you, like what you present to the world, but like I need to know, or I need to remember how much I appreciate who you are on the inside.
Yeah, your ooey gooey center, Johnny.
Yeah, and that works. It like
takes him out of his fit.
Yeah, like he goes out of like the berserker mode basically, which allows him to finally transition back into human. Yeah, he gets zapped and turns back to human. And then as everyone's leaving in the airship, we just see zap, 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 zap. Yeah, everybody gets to turn back to normal. Of course, Wayne's very... well, first off, Eunice is pissed at Frank keeping his good head of hair. She's like, nope. Yeah, he's like, the rest of him is turned back to monster style, but he still has the swoop. And then does she shave it off, or she just like yank it off the top of his head? She takes a sword to it and like lops pieces of it off. Yeah. Johnny's talking to Mavis, and he was like, it was kind of fun being a monster for a little bit, though. Maybe Van Helsing can fix the ray, and I can play around with that sometimes. Nope. And Mavis is like, no, I don't, I like you just the way you are. You don't need to be a monster for me. I'm happy with you.
Right. And of course, Dracula comes to apologize for being an asshole now that he's actually Dracula again.
Yeah, and he's like, I made a mistake, but, I really do want to give this to you all. Like, you can have the hotel. I'm ready to retire, and I'm excited to see what you do with it. And at that point, the blimp arrives at the hotel, which
my hotel,
completely demolished by the giant Gigi.
And of course, Dracula's like, no, and he, my hotel, and that's all he says for like the next minute or so, while he's zapping Gigi with the demonstrification ray.
But then they see that, even though the hotel is destroyed, all of the kids and the pets and Van Helsing, they're safe.
What happened to the zombies? I mean,
none of them are around.
Maybe they finally got the sweet release of death.
But it is funny that, Dracula was just panicked about the hotel and didn't think about, like, the people in my hotel.
Right. Oh, my grandson's in this.
Yeah. Johnny's like, don't worry, we've got the time. We're gonna rebuild it. We'll make it just like it was. It'll be exactly the way you remember it. And Dracula's like, no, you've got this opportunity now. Build what you want. Like, bring the hotel back because it's needed, but make it Mavis and Johnny's version of the hotel.
Right. And of course, we then get 1 year later.
Yeah, and we got Mavis and Johnny kind of showing Dracula around the new hotel as it's getting ready for the grand opening. Okay,
so I love that when they walk inside, it is exactly what Dracula feared it was going to be.
Yeah, there's like, a lot of like hippie health club kind of stuff that Johnny wants. But there's people around. Everybody seems to be enjoying it.
And of course, everything at this point is now a Genndy Tartakovsky cartoon.
Yeah, it like transitions into like the traditional animation, and that's how we get the credits, is like basically them all kind of touring the facility. We get to see all kinds of the new amenities that this new hotel has.
Yeah, and then we get to end on Griffin's butt cheeks again.
Yeah, that was a really strange choice. Like,
that was a choice.
They like come in like from either side of the screen. Like,
we have the clap of this man's ass cheeks.
Yeah. Yep, that's how the Hotel Transylvania franchise ends.
Yeah. Not with a roar, but with the clap of butt cheeks. I'm sorry. Yep. Well, at least Genndy Tartakovsky got 4 good paychecks out of it, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought that he had completely left the production for this one, but he doesn't direct it, but he did co-write it and is one of the producers as well. So he still definitely had a hand in this one.
So okay, so he fell back on his Dexter's Lab writing on this, right?
Yeah.
And that everything returns to status quo no matter what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that feels right.
Okay.
And I'm assuming that the director of this is probably like a protege AD kind of person that he had worked with him before. So it was less like I'm dumping this franchise because I hate it, and more like I've had my time with it. I'm going to pass it along to somebody who needs a directorial. Yeah. So I think even still with all of the issues with this, I think I liked it a little more than 3. Mm-hmm. Just because, I don't know, 3 felt really disjointed to me.
Yeah, it's weird that it's like I think the darkest one is also kind of the worst.
Yeah. I don't know. It feels like this one had potential to be something really good, but they just like it's phoned in.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is, right? Just phoned in. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's 2022. The pandemic is either just coming to an end or about to come to an end. Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to movie theaters, so I guess they're like, why try?
Yeah, it's an animated movie. We can have everybody record their bits from their own separate recording locations. Cook it up together, in the lab, and throw it on Prime while everybody's quarantining. And yeah.
So why do you think Sandler was just like, fuck this shit, I'm out?
Yeah, I don't know.
Find the reason?
Like, because Sandler is not somebody who's known for like having like high standards.
Right.
Like, he will do a movie if he's getting a paycheck, and this seems like a cakewalk. Like,
right, everyone else showed up except for Kevin James and Sandler's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mel Brooks, but you're not really getting Mel Brooks back for anything after that last one.
Yeah, and it just seems like I would be surprised if they went to a recording studio collectively and did this. I would imagine everybody did this from home studios and local rentals and stuff. Right. And I bet Adam Sandler has a recording studio in his fucking house.
Right.
Like if you watch like Funny People where like he, plays music with his friends, I bet Adam Sandler has a setup similar to that in real life.
Yeah. Who knows if that's not his setup?
Yeah. So it seems like he probably could have spent a weekend and knocked this movie out and got, way more than we would get paid for working a weekend.
Right, and yeah, that's kind of his thing, though, is like, he just hangs out with his friends, and all of his friends are there except for Kevin James.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, was something going on with Kevin James at this time?
I don't know. I know, he's still doing movies and stuff, so, like, I don't know if he...
Yeah, he doesn't have any controversy, right?
Not that I know of.
He was just an asshole to somebody, but not recently. Okay, who knows?
Yeah, it may have been that he just wanted to move on. I don't know when he did that. Was it called Becky? That movie where he was like a Nazi.
Oh,
that was like I don't know if you've seen that, but it's really good. Like he's a villain in it, and it's a pretty intense role, like an unexpected kind of departure for him.
Yeah,
but I don't know when that came out.
That came out in 2020.
Oh, okay, so it was a little before that then.
Yeah. Oh,
but yeah, apparently just Kevin James and Adam Sandler were just not in the mood.
Yep.
Decided to move on. So, and understandably, this script's not the greatest. So, but I really don't think that was it. I think they probably just decided that they had other things they'd rather be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
But,
if anyone finds out, let us know. We're curious.
Yeah, but it does seem like a waste, because like the Transformania part of this, that kind of thing about like learning about each other by being monsters becoming human and humans becoming monsters, that could have been really cool. Like,
yeah,
every one of these movies has been about humans and monsters kind of trying to understand each other better over time, and that would have just been like that could have been a really cool cap to the whole thing, that like now we've walked in each other's shoes, we really understand each other. Mm-hmm. But yeah, instead it just kind of doesn't really live up to its potential.
Right. Well, not only that, like, do you remember when the advertising, obviously not a lot of people would, but remember when the advertising originally came out, it's like, oh, we're just going to have a species flipped version of this movie where all the humans are monsters and all the monsters are humans. And it's not that case. It's like a lot of them are, sure, but none of the wives have been swapped.
Yeah, it's just our like central crew.
Yeah, which that would be fun to see, like Eunice be human with Frank and how that looks, or even like the kids being like just a bunch of human brats, Yeah,
that could have been really fun.
Yeah, but no, we don't get that.
No, and I imagine we never will. Like you said, I think this is probably the end of this franchise.
Yeah, sad, but it is what it is. All right, Anthony, I think it's that time of year again, speaking of kids, that it's time to go back to school. Yeah, we've had all these kids movies, and now it's time to grow up and get to school. Yep. So this next week we're going to do I Was a Teenage Frankenstein?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is this is like an early kind of classic Frankenstein movie. It's like, as far as well-known Frankenstein movies, this is like probably one of the first, I don't know, 10 or 15 to be released. Like it's early days, and it's a lot of fun. And
it feels like it's heavily referenced too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
That, and I Was a Teenage Werewolf.
Yes, and I'm excited to get back to some like classic Frankenstein-ness. Like we spent the last 7 weeks in some weird nonsense.
Yep, we sure have.
Yeah, so we're getting back to our roots here with some good old classic Frankenstein, and then, as you said, we've got a kind of a series of other movies about Frankensteins in school. So do that for the next few weeks after.
Are you saying this is our back to school special?
Yep, exactly.
Amazing. I've been holding on to that one for so long. All right, Anthony, where can they find us?
So you can find us on all the socials at The Frankencast. You can email us at thefrankencast@gmail.com. We're also on YouTube, and you can also join us over at patreon.com/thefrankencast, where we're now offering free trials. So you can jump on for a week, binge through whatever you want, see if it's, a good fit for you, and stick around if you'd like, or just, check out what you want in that time and then move on.
Exactly. All right. Well, in that case, to be continued.
Looks like you survived another episode. The Frankencast is a production of FCR Media. It's hosted by Anthony Bowman and Eric Velasquez. Follow us on Twitter at The Frankencast, or send us a letter at thefrankencast@gmail.com. Our cover art is by Amanda Keller. You can find her at Keller Illustrations on Instagram. Our theme music is by Vivek Abhishek. Thanks for listening.